Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at the Many Magmortars of GLC. So, what is GLC for those of you out there who don't know? It's a single prize only, no Robux format, so no Pokemon EX or anything like that. It is singleton, except for basic energy, and you're only allowed one type per deck, which unfortunately is a bit of a shame with Magmortar and Electivire as well, because there is a couple of Pokemon as well in the TCG that this applies to, but basically you can't have synergy across multiple types. So, like Electivire, for example, would do something if you have a bench Magmortar and vice versa. So, that's kind of a shame in that regard. But there is still plenty of interesting Magmortars, at least to have a look at here. So, the basics before we get going, we have a few Magmars. To be honest, I think Smoke Bomb is probably your best option. It's probably the most disruptive. 8 HP, I think, is a fairly measly trade off from 90 HP. So, like, you could, play the 90 HP one, that's absolutely fine. But I do think Smoke Bomb is a bit of an upgrade. And then you also have like the nice one from Evolutions if you want like the art rarity upgrade, I guess. It's still a common, but it does look very nice, very flashy. So, something to consider. But yeah, the first Magmortar that we can take a look at isn't particularly great. Don't have to spend too long on this. Flame Screen can reduce damage done to it by 20 damage, which seems okay, but it only does 40 itself. So, it's not very good whatsoever. So, can't really recommend playing this card really. Like the art rare is nice. Like the artwork is cool. It's on the stairs looking very royally. I think that's a pool in the background as well. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, aside from the artwork, it's not a very good card, sadly. Next up is a one that would have been pretty decent, I guess, like mid to decent probably is a better way of saying it. But like it would have been a bit better if you could have Electivire on your bench. But Twin Bursts doing 80 and then 160, like that could have been cool, but for 4 energy it was already quite expensive anyway. So the only thing this can really do is Flame Charge, which isn't great because it can only charge up energy to itself. So yeah, we can probably just move on. The next one, though, is at least a bit more interesting. So, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an attack, then the defending Pokemon is now burned. And then Fire Blaster for 2 Fire and a Colorless does 80 damage, and you may discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. And if you do, this attack does 80 more. So, a much better attack, a much better ability. So, there's also this Infernape, which can increase that burn damage to 60. There's also like several other fire types, like a Senti Scorch that can do 180 damage, but only if your opponent's active is burned. A lot of burn synergy to be had in GLC, which is cool. So if you really want to make a burn deck, then this Magmortar is, of course, here. However, it is, of course, worth mentioning that the Journey Together Magmortar also increases your burn damage by +3. So you might just want to play that Magmortar, to be honest, over this one. But, cards to bear in mind, at least. Next up, though, is we have a one from, I think that's Lost Thunder, it's saying on there, but nah, that's Team Up, surely. That's either Team Up or Unified Minds. That's definitely not the Lost Thunder one. But yeah, originally I was going to say you could have used something like Double Colorless Energy or Twin Energy for Smoke Bomb, but the problem is they went and banned them in GLC, so like you can't do that anymore. Like you can use Triple Acceleration Energy, I guess, or Reversal, or just use Welder or Minor Attachment, but yeah, kind of a shame that Double Colors had to get banned. So yeah, no Smoke Bomb for a single energy with like a turn 1 going second Salvatore player or whatever, or Wally. That's not possible. But yeah, still a fairly okay attack, 50 damage, and if they try to attack, flip a coin, if tails that attack does nothing. Basically the evolved version of the Magmar that we saw earlier doing Smoke Bomb. So that's kind of cool. And then Flamethrower is a bit too expensive for what it does, but can be used in a pinch if you needed to. And most of these Magmortars can be found with a Heavy Ball, which at least is, that's something at the very least. But yeah, not a particularly great card overall, though. Very, very cool artwork, I will say that. Next up, though, is a one from Rebel Clash, and this one does have at least some decent synergy across the board. I kind of remember this being a pretty solid budget deck when it came out. Ground Burn for 2 Fire and a Colorless does 80 damage, and each player discards a top card of their deck, and it does 100 more damage for each energy card discarded in this way. So realistically, you'll do 180, but sometimes you'll be able to do 280, which is, it's kind of rare that that's going to happen. But if the stars do align, then maybe you'll be able to do 280. But typically, you will be doing 180, which is cool. So like Academy at Night is probably your best way of putting energy on top of the deck, although you could use the Codebreaker. I think it's Cypher Maniac's Codebreaker it's called, or Cypher Maniac's Decide Codebreaking or something. It's one of those things. It's the card that's played in Goldengo, but you could use that for sure. Also got synergy with this camera up, which is basically the exact same attack, but just for a bit less damage and costs one less energy. So, just something to consider if you want to mess around with these sorts of decks. But yeah, thought it was worth mentioning. Next up, though, is a one from Brilliant Stars / Crown Zenith if you want to play the nice illustration rare version. Sadly, it's not very good. Like Bolt Explosion doing 240 would have been crazy, but sadly, Electivire is not legal in a fire type deck, so you can't do that. So it's basically just here to do 120 for 2 Fire and a Colorless, which is less than desirable, that's for sure. So yeah, not a very good card, but certainly a very lovely artwork, of course. Next up's the one from Paldean Fates, can do 170, but during a next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. I mean, 170 is not a bad number to be doing. Like, it's a 10 shy from 180, which I would say is like the high end of Stage 2 Pokemon for sure, but, you're still a very long way off a Wailord. But, like, aside from that, you will KO an awful lot of Pokemon with Volcanic Heat. So that's something worth bearing in mind, actually. So, like, it's decent in that sense, but it's still 3 energy. It's a bit of a commitment, and it's not the beefiest Pokemon. Like, 140 is not a lot, really. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how to feel about this one. It's better than some of the other ones, for sure, but the standards aren't exactly very high, for these. But yeah, definitely not the worst one here. Next up, though, is of course the one from Journey Together, which is, to be fair, probably the best one here, to be fair. Has the ability Magma Surge during Pokemon Checkup, put 3 more damage counters on your opponent's burned Pokemon, and then Searing Flame does 90, flip a coin of heads, they're now burned. So you could combo this with things like the Delphox or like the Infernape. I think the Infernape will stack with this actually, so you will get to 90 damage more with Burn, which is hilarious. But you could do something like that, or just in a generic Burn deck, this would be good to have. So it's useful in that sense. It's also boosting some great artwork, so that's cool. But yeah, thanks for watching. I do a new set review for GLC with each new release, so subscribe if you're interested in being updated. This is a series words. This is a series to stay. That's what happens when you try and record videos when you're tired. This is a series to stay, so let me know which Pokemon you would like to see in the series. There is a list, but getting through them, and a playlist has been made. If you want to dive into the competitive side, however, OmniPoke and the format creator Tricky Jim have both done fantastic videos and guides for each type, because, to be honest, to do like a type guide would just take forever and would probably melt my brain. So yeah, go check out their videos, basically. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Are you encouraged to play Magmortar in GLC now? And yeah, thank you for watching.